The Surface Duo was released about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and so far the reviews for it have been pretty mixed. Pretty much everyone loves the hardware on the device, but the consensus is the software just isn't quite ready yet for prime time. Now, I mostly agree with that opinion, but I think to really appreciate what Microsoft has done here, we have to take a look at 3 things: the past, the present, and the future. Let's take a look at those. Inspiration for the Surface Duo started all the way back in 2009 with something called Project Courier. The Courier was a prototype concept very similar to the Surface Duo. The device was not only rumored to have 2 7-inch displays, but also include a flexible 360 hinge and also run a specialized version of Windows CE. At the time, the concept seemed more aimed towards creativity versus productivity, as its purpose was to be used as a note taker and like a daily planner, while also including applications like Paint, Notepad, and a web browser. The device wasn't meant to be a computer replacement though. It was actually meant to be more of a complementary piece to your current computer. The Courier project was short-lived, and in 2010, Microsoft announced that it had no plans to actually produce the device. Microsoft definitely seemed ahead of its time as far as the physical attributes of the device. However, to me, it seemed like the team in charge of the Courier just didn't really have a clear vision of what the device was supposed to be. Or at least, Microsoft just didn't think that the Courier aligned with its Windows and Office vision. At that point, the dual screen concept was officially dead. Or at least so we thought. Fast forward almost 9 years later, and in October of 2019, Microsoft doesn't announce just one dual touchscreen device, but 2 of them, the Duo and the Neo. There's no denying that Microsoft did an absolute fantastic job with the hardware on the device. The Duo looks and feels just like a premium smartphone should. I was actually pretty surprised that they went with an all-glass design on the Surface Duo. I honestly thought that they were going to use the same type of materials that they used on their Surface laptops and tablets, kind of that more matte metallic finish. Now, I can't say that this is a mistake on their part because I think the device looks gorgeous. However, even though it's made of Gorilla Glass 5, I get terrified when I pull the phone out of my pocket because I always think that I'm going to drop it. The Surface Duo even comes with a bumper case, which is kind of nice because that's one less thing you have to spend money on if you want to protect the phone. But it really makes you wonder what the durability of this phone is going to look like in a year or two if Microsoft thought it was necessary to include a bumper case with it. Now, a lot of people really complained about the gap in between the 2 screens. However, it doesn't really bother me that much. In my opinion, most of the hardware on this device is pretty complementary to each other. However, sure, if there is one thing that I would probably like to change about the hardware, having less of a gap in between the 2 screens would obviously make the phone look nicer, but also improve on the overall experience when using the phone too. The dual screens on the device measure 5.6 inches on their own, and when open, gives you a much bigger 8.1 inch screen to use. The panels are AMOLED with 401 ppi, and they look absolutely fantastic. The 360-degree hinge holding the 2 screens together works flawlessly. When you open up the screens, you can feel like a tension, but it's a smooth tension though. And the best part is you can literally fold or move the phone any way you want to. Microsoft calls these postures. You could have a fold like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, if you wanted to, like this, like this. Really, the combinations are endless, I guess. I will say the first day that I got the device, that night, our hot water heater went out at night. And sure, I could have just taken a flashlight out there with me, but I would say 99% of the time when I need to use a flashlight, I use my smartphone. It was really nice to be able to open up the closet where our hot water heater is, turn on the flashlight, and kind of pivot the screen to get the right angle. That way I could see what I needed to see on the hot water heater. As far as the size of the Surface Duo, it never really bothered me. Sure, it's a very wide phone. However, I feel like just after a week or so, specifically holding it in single screen mode for things like phone calls, I got used to it. Same thing when carrying it in my pocket. Sure, the first couple days it felt kind of weird to have such a wide smartphone in your pocket, but again, after a day or two, it just kind of felt like any other phone. The other thing that I was really surprised about this device was the battery life. I would say on average, I could easily get 5 to 6 hours of screen on time because I would say for the most part, the way that I typically use the phone, unless I was in like a phone call, is with the hinge open and using both screens. So to be able to get 5 to 6 hours of screen on time with using both screens It's not bad. And the other thing that was really nice too is the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is fast, albeit a little small, but I really like the placement of it. I think it just makes sense. And for the most part, I had no issues with it. Now on to the not so great stuff. The software on this phone feels nothing less than beta. It is very buggy. I would say at least 3 to 4 times a day, I would try to unlock my phone and it would just randomly freeze. And then I'd either have to unlock it again, to relock it and have it work, or fold the phone a certain way in order to get into the device. The movement of the apps from one screen to the other sometimes didn't work like it should. The accelerometer and moving the phone from portrait to landscape, that was more miss than hit a lot of the times. And one of the more frustrating things about this device is getting the phone to recognize what screen you're looking at. Because when you do use it in that single screen mode and you want to try to flip it over to use it a certain way, or if you're taking it out of your pocket and it's not on the screen that you want, you're supposed to be able to double tap the screen and it should recognize what screen that you're double tapping. That worked like maybe 60% of the time. The worst thing though about this phone is the camera. And I'm not just talking about the quality of the camera either. Now the front-facing camera is great for video chat, video phone calls, but to actually want to take a picture of something in front of you, that got to be really frustrating at times. Because in order to take a picture on this phone, because the camera is located in front of one of the displays at the top, obviously you have to open up the phone, open up the camera, and then you have to flip the display and use it as the viewfinder. Now, the amount of times that this phone actually recognized what I was trying to do was very little, and by the time that it did work, the thing that I wanted to take the picture of, like my son or something else, the moment was gone. And one last thing, the vibration motor is very, very weak, and the speaker is mediocre at best. So would I recommend this device? So not really, at least not yet. Unless you're an extremely techie person and you want to try something new, okay, sure. Or if you're just a huge Microsoft fan and you're okay with forking over like $1,400, then go for it. I think for most of us, it's best to wait for Gen 2, because I think by that time, at least hopefully, they'll have the software and the hardware talking to each other more. The last couple of years, we've seen some changes in smartphone hardware. For a while, it seemed like we were seeing incremental upgrades to things like camera, screen sizes, durability. But this is the first time in a long time where I saw a piece of technology and was really excited to not only use it, but to also think about where it's going to go. Whether you're a fan of foldable screen phones with one screen like how Samsung implements it, or you're a fan of how Microsoft has implemented it, I think we can all agree that the future of smartphones, and probably tablets too, are going to have some type of dual screen implementation to it. And I think as technology continues to evolve, like it always does, you're finally going to start to see things that we previously thought were only available on the big screen, now on a smaller screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you don't mind, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. That would help me out very, very much. Please let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the Surface Duo? Do you like the 360 hinge and the 2 screens, or do you prefer how Samsung has implemented it? Do you think that dual screen or foldable phones have a future, or do you think it's a fad? Go ahead and talk about it in the comments section below. My name is Chris. Thank you so much again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.